Now, if the word trifling had to be called by another name, it would be capital T, capital O-N-I. Tony, bitch. Okay. Hey y'all, welcome to my channel Reviewed, where we talk about all things television and film from today and yesteryear. So today I wanted to come on here and do a quick recap of Reasonable Doubt Season 2, Episode 7. Y'all, this episode was, oh my gosh. And I do want to apologize in advance for all the times that I used the N word in this review. However, it was necessary. Let's get to it. So Lewis, he basically walks up to Jax. He was like, we need to go somewhere and talk. Maybe we should go talk in the car so the kids don't hear. She was like, the kids are not here. The floor is all yours, nigga. What's up? And so he basically starts to go into the whole situation with Tony. And she basically stops and she was like, first of all, you're a liar. She said, I asked you if the person that you slept with was someone I knew. You said no. She said, you also lied to me the other day about saying you were at work. She was like, I was at the hospital. I saw you standing there. So the lie detector determined that was a lie too. Your nose is growing, Pinocchio. What's up? And he was like, well, I don't know if the baby is mine. It's just like, well, what would make you think that the baby's yours? How many times did you sleep with her? He said he slept with her 4 times. She was like, okay, so was you not using protection? And then he turns around and say that one time he did not. I was like, nigga, what? She was like, are you serious? You didn't use protection? He was like, she said she couldn't get pregnant. She was like, well, clearly, Lewis, she lied. Clearly, she can get pregnant. Like, I cannot believe you fell for that mess. I cannot believe he fell for that mess either. Now, we're not going to sit back and act like Jax wasn't doing her thing, but clearly, she was doing it responsibly. So Jax, she starts laughing hysterically because she cannot believe that this Negro just told her that he was raw dogging his side chick. Like, dude, are you kidding me? And she basically lets her know, she's like, you need to leave. And he was like, well, where am I going to go? She said, nigga, I do not care where you go. You just got to get up out of here because right now you are not wanted. Okay. So this episode was basically like a flashback episode of Lewis and Jack's relationship, basically their origin story, like how they started, how everything came to be with the two of them, and their relationship, their marriage, them becoming parents, and things of that nature. So here is after the accident, after Jax ran into his car, and he calls her and asks her out on a date, and this is just basically an introduction into their relationship and what initially started their journey together as Jax and Lewis. And so we also find out in this episode that Crystal is going to school at night to become an attorney. She's talking to Corey in this moment, and she's just letting him know, hey, I know y'all got a heavy caseload. Jax depends on me quite heavily, but I would appreciate if you wouldn't say anything to her about it because I want to make sure I tell her when I feel like the time is right. And Corey agrees. So Jax gets to work. She asks Crystal to bring her some coffee because she's tired. So Corey follows Jax into her office and she's talking. He was like, you good? Everything okay? She's like, yeah, I'm tired. Nothing a little coffee wouldn't cure. And they're talking, chatting it up. And he lets Jax know that Lucy is going to call Tony to the stand. And so Jax is like, huh? What? Tony? And he was like, yeah. And Jax was like, oh, okay, because of the pregnancy. He was like, yeah, so, we just want to be prepped and prepared for that. So we also get a scene here with the prosecuting attorney, aka Lucy, baby. Lucy got rid of that bun and got her some lipstick and a bob, okay? So she is on her way out of her job or whatnot, and honey, here come Mr. Mister, period, Mr. Honey, come up. This fool is her ex-husband, y'all. So now we know this is her ex-husband. I'm assuming she got a restraining order against this fool because he crazy, all kinds of crazy. And he was like, I just want an opportunity to prove to you that I changed. I want to be a good father to my son. I want to be a better husband to you. And she is not hearing this. She calls security. Get this Negro up out of here because he don't need to be up in my face. Bye. So Jax and Lewis agree to go see the marriage counselor. Once they get to the therapy session, Lewis is explaining to the counselor all the goings on, everything that's going on with, Tony. And so the counselor looks at Jax. He was like, how are you doing? You're real quiet. And Jax was like, I'm usually one of those people who can compartmentalize. She's basically saying, I know how to leave home life at home when I'm at work. She was like, but I've been thinking about this all day. And she was like, the fact that I have to see Tony in court, she's like, it's just too much. She was like, the fact that he could potentially be having a baby with a woman that I know, she was like, it's just real trashy. It's real ghetto. She was like, what is this, Real Housewife of Love and Hip Hop? She was like, it's just really ghetto. And she was like, I always was one of those women who was proud to be able to brag on my man. She was like, I always looked at Lewis as like a king or whatever. And she was like, now, he's just another nigga. And I was like, dang. I was like, okay, Jax, okay, now she's entitled to feel how she feel. However, we know the goings on in season one, Jax. You were sleeping with not one but two different men. Like, girl, hold on. So I was like, I know, Lewis, I know you gonna get your lick back, baby, because we know the goings on of Jax on season one, okay? So Lewis was like, the audacity of you to sit up here and refer to me as just another nigga when you was passing out booty to a convicted felon. Like, girl. He was like, not only was you passing out booty to this Negro, but baby, he tried to off you and then offed himself in front of you. And Lewis was like, I was the one who was waking up in the middle of the night with you when you could not sleep. He was like, I was the one who had to get past that. He was like, I had to get, basically, like, he had to get past two Negroes that you were screwing. He was like, so don't refer to me as another nigga when you was having nigga moments yourself. That part. So Jax meets up with her friends and she basically lets them know the goings on between Lewis and Tony. And honey, Sally, who is Chanel's cousin, she was like, well, is this going to cause some issues? Is this going to be distraction? Are you going to be able to stay focused on the trial? I'm just trying to make sure that my cousin is getting the best representation. I'm thinking to myself, no, baby, you want to make sure that your cousin get out of jail so you can get a return on that bond that you done put your house up for after your husband told you not to. Like, stop it. So in this moment, we get a glimpse of Lewis. He's talking to Sally's husband because Lewis is staying with them at this particular moment, while he and Jax are trying to figure things out. And so here we get another flashback moment of Jax and Lewis, during their beginning of their marriage. And I think at this point, their son is 3 and they just had their daughter because Jax is pumping breast milk or whatnot. And so, Lewis is kissing on her or whatever. She's like, honey, I'm not in the mood. And she was like, I don't know, I just don't feel like myself, whatever. And so Lewis ends up suggesting that he and Jax go to a sex club for couples. And I was like, oh, so you're the one who kind of opened Pandora's box in y'all's marriage. So Jax and Corey are discussing the upcoming trial. Jax lets Corey know that Tony was spotted getting a paternity test. And Jax also says, why would Tony ask for money to terminate a pregnancy if she wasn't even sure who the father was? And so Corey was like, yeah, that's very deceitful. He was like, that makes her look like a liar. And so Corey ends up basically suggesting to Jax, he was like, you should cross-examine her. And Jax was like, why? And he was like, because it wouldn't look good for a man to be slut-shaming a woman. He said it would be more reciprocal for the jurors if they saw another woman basically calling her out on her trifling ways. So we have a moment here where Jax goes to see the marriage counselor again. They're having individual sessions, and she basically lets him know that, her main thing with Lewis is the fact that she could always trust him, and now it's pretty much blown up in her face. And so the counselor, they're having a back and forth, and he basically asked her, you don't believe in unconditional love? And she was like, no, what is that? And basically, since she's never experienced it, she doesn't know what it looks like when it's been given to her. Basically, it's what the counselor says to her in so many words. So here we get a scene where Jax and Lewis ends up going to the adult sex club or whatever. So this dude walks up to Jax and he, starts kissing her on her neck and touching on her or whatever. And it turns both of them on. And I'm like, okay, wait a minute. Whatever folks do it, that's their business. But when you open Pandora's box, sometimes it's often hard to close. And I think this was the start of what looked like to me of their open marriage. Well, that's what I got in season 1. It just appeared like they had some type of an open marriage, but I see now that Lewis was the catalyst as to how their dysfunction in their relationship could have possibly started. That's what it appears to be in this moment. And so we get to court, honey, and Miss Tony is on the stand. Miss Lucy is loosening up with her Bob baby. And so, they're just talking, having a back and forth. And she is reading the text messages that Chanel sent her after Chanel found out that she was with her husband. Like, girl, you was her whole so-called friend, baby. With friends like Tony, who needs them, okay? Listen, Tony is just one of them trifling women who just don't care. Like, she will ha-ha and kiki in your face and then be hunching on your husband in the background. Like, she just one of them, baby. When I tell you trifling ain't got nothing on Tony, it ain't got nothing on her. Okay. So Jax gets up to cross-examine Tony, and she says to Tony, she's like, "You considered yourself a good friend of Chanel's, right?" And Tony was like, "Yeah." She was like, "You even helped plan her daughter's birthday party." And Tony was like, "Yeah." And Jax was like, "But that's the same time you started sleeping with her husband too, right?" And Tony was like, "Yeah." She was like, "So, how did Chanel find out about the affair?" She said, "Because for months you denied that you were sleeping with her husband when you really was." And Tony was like, "Yeah." And basically, Tony said that JT was the one that told Chanel that they were messing around. And so Jax was like, "Hmm." She was like, "So when you told JT that you were pregnant, were you sure that he was the father?" And Tony was like, "I don't know what you mean." And Jax was like, "Were you sleeping with somebody else? Could somebody else be the father of your child?" And so Tony, she was a little hesitant, and the judge was like, "Answer the question, baby, answer the question." So Tony was like, "Yeah, someone else could be the father of my child." And so Jax was like, "So the man that you was sleeping with, the other man, was he married too?" And Tony said, "Yes." Baby, when I tell you, the jury was like, baby, all they was thinking was. Now you need an ass whooping. So we also get a moment in the episode where they go to court again. And after that day in court, Chanel is sitting down talking to Corey, and she kind of notices that Jax is in a daze. So she asks Corey, she's like, "Can I talk to Jax alone?" Corey leaves the room. Chanel walks over to Jax. They start talking, and Jax starts crying. She lets Chanel know that Lewis could potentially be Tony's baby's dad. And, Chanel is like, "God dang, this heifer just landed low spring a while for everybody." And, Chanel says to Jax, just like, that saying, they say, check on your strong friends. She was like, "So I'm checking on you. I need to make you good, make sure that you're good." She said, "You Jax, baby, you don't play the radio. Don't let nobody ever knock you off your square. Okay?" So Jax gets home and Lewis is cooking. Lewis ends up asking Jax, "How did the trial go?" Jax asks Lewis, "How was school for the kids or whatever?" So, they're talking, and then Jax says to Lewis, she was like, "I miss you." And Lewis was like, "You do?" She was like, "Yeah." She was like, "I'm just confused. It's a lot. It's just too much. It's a lot." And then Lewis drops the bomb, baby, and lets her know that he is the father of the baby. When he says that, the kids end up walking into the kitchen, and you could just literally see the look on Jack's face like, "You got to be kidding me." So they're sitting down having dinner as a family, and Jax gets up from the table. She goes into the bathroom and she just breaks down. It's just overwhelming for her. Lewis knocks on the door and she's just like, "I just need you to leave me alone. Like, leave me alone. Just don't bother me right now." And I really don't like the fact that they had him be the father of Tony's baby. Like, I don't like it at all. I get it. It adds more layers to their family dynamic. And I guess we're going to have to see how it is going to affect their children and just their family as a whole. The fact that they are finding their footing in their marriage, and now they have to deal with this, it's just like, yo, it just seems like it's too much. And again, this episode was basically the origin episode of their relationship and how they interacted with each other, how they became Jax and Lewis. And so just to see the flashbacks and just how they became one, I don't like the fact that they are now going to add a outside baby to the mix. Like, I'm not here for it. So here is when Crystal lets Jax know that she is going to law school. And of course, Jax is happy for her. She's ecstatic. And, Crystal is relieved that the secret is finally out. So Lewis ends up having his one-on-one with the marriage counselor. He tells the counselor that he is the father of Tony's baby. And, the counselor was like, have you told Jax? And Lewis was like, yes, but we really haven't had a chance to talk about it. And so the counselor was like, well, what would you like to happen? What do you want? And Lewis was like, I want my wife back. I want my family. He's like, he basically doesn't want the marriage to come to an end. And Lewis also says to the counselor, he said, but he feels like he's the only one that wants it. And the counselor was like, well, Jax to me is trying because she's coming to the sessions, she's doing the therapy. And Lewis was like, well, it doesn't feel like it. And the counselor says to him, well, maybe you should stop focusing on feelings and focus on intention. It's not how you feel, it's what you see her doing or whatever. So we get this moment between Jax and Corey. They still at work, they in the boardroom. Corey ends up telling the story about how, his last client ended up going to prison for the rest of her life because she sent her husband to meet the Grim Reaper, even though the husband was very abusive, very manipulative, and basically was stalking the woman. And, he was just saying that really bothered him, it really affected him. So he and Jax have this moment, honey. They have this intimate moment. They are about to kiss. And honey, when I tell you Jax started playing back all those things in her head, she started having all these flashbacks of the things that she'd done, who she did, and how it affected Lewis and their marriage. And I was like, thank you for discernment. In that moment, Jax had discernment, and she told Corey, she was like, we need to stop. I got to cut this off. I was so happy that she cut it off before it went to where it did not need to go. And I'm so glad that she heard Lewis's voice in her head about everything that he had to deal with on his end as a result of their decision making, because I can't just put it on Jax, because they both played a part in the dysfunction of their marriage. So I was so glad that she cut Corey off. I was so happy. And this is just a flashback moment of the day Jax and Lewis got married. I just thought this was very pretty. So we get to the end of the episode, and we're having all these flashbacks of Lewis and Jax's relationship. And A House Is Not a Home is playing in the background by Luther Vandross, honey. So Lewis shows up at the house. He asks Jax, can they talk? Goes into the house, and he basically pours his heart out to Jax. He's telling her that there is no time and space in this lifetime where he sees himself not loving her. He was like, I see you go to work and you fight for people every day, whether they're guilty or not. He said, you fight for them with conditions. He said, but I love you without conditions. He was like, I fight for us every day. I fight for our family. And he was like, his love for her is unwavering. And honey, when he said that, I was like, okay, Jax. Because if you think about it, when she said to the counselor that she did not know what unconditional love was, in that moment, that is what Lewis was expressing to her, that he was going to love her regardless. And I think that that was something that she needed to hear. And, he also just lets her know, he was like that if he ever made her feel basically like she was not worthy and that he did not love and appreciate her, and he apologized to her. He was like, I'm sorry if I ever made you feel that way. He was like, he cannot function without her. He basically saying he cannot live without her, and that if she wanted a divorce, he understood, but that would never change or remove the fact that he will always love her. He was just basically like, it ain't nothing you're gonna be able to do about that. And so when they started crying, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm in my feelings. Oh my gosh. It was just so, just to see him pour his heart out like that to her, and to basically own up to the things that he did to contribute to their dysfunction. I really love that about him. And, he got ready to leave, and she just told him to wait. So we'll see what that wait means, because, you never know. Guys, I don't know. I want them to stay together, but at the same time, it's just like, why did y'all have to have this be the outcome of his affair? You know what I'm saying? I really, really wish that this did not happen, because it's just like, dang, no, nobody want a struggle marriage, a struggle relationship of any kind. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really don't like that. And again, it's just going to be a different dynamic, especially once the kids find out. And I'm wondering if they do stay together, which I hope that they do, but just how that is gonna play into the relationship that they have with their children, or the relationship that Lewis has with the kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I don't know, y'all. I guess we shall see what happens, okay? So that's all I have for you guys in this video. Thank you so much to all my subscribers. I really appreciate the support. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. For those of you who have not, I really appreciate it. And I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.